Hey guys, Coach Dan here. In today's video, we've got a back workout, but before that, something I've been pondering lately. Why is it that when you're driving on a highway behind someone, they're going way beneath the speed limit, but suddenly you see ahead, overtaking lane, and suddenly they speed up, they find the accelerator, and now they're going 20 kilometers over the speed limit. Is that something everyone else finds, or is that just me? Anyway, that is non-specific to what we're doing today. So today is a back workout. This is a Wednesday workout for me, back or pull. So with the back or pull workout, some muscle groups that will come into work there. So your lats, obviously a big muscle that runs down the side and into the center of your lower back, and your upper back, which might incorporate your traps, rear delts, any of the other things that go through there, the rhomboids, all that kind of stuff. And I also do some extra arm work on this day. So you would call it back, biceps, and maybe rear delts or something along those lines. So something within the back training specifically that I've been doing in more recent times is when you look at some of the back muscles, they kind of orientate a little bit differently. So some of the muscles or muscle fibers go in different directions. So if we think about the lats specifically, the lats kind of come in from attaching to the front of your arm and wrap underneath your armpit into your back. And essentially some of them come in and they go sideways in towards your spine, but some of them actually go down towards your hip or your pelvis. So with that in mind, potentially there might be some merit in both doing lat exercises that come from this way or horizontally, and then some that come from vertically. So the fibers that are coming in towards your spine, potentially they'll be better used when we're rowing horizontally or pulling horizontally, and the ones that go in towards your hip, they might be better used when you're pulling down, or so you're pulling your arm in towards your hip. So people sometimes just categorize back training as in horizontal or vertical, but more recently I have started doing this. Again, it may or may not have a massive difference, but just in case, I do it this way. So when you're rowing for your lats specifically from a horizontal position, should I say, when you're rowing from a horizontal position, we want to keep our arm nice and close to the body. So you keep your arm close to the body and you kind of wrap it in towards the spine to best use your lats. When we're then thinking about using our upper back, we'll take our arms a little bit away from our body and we'll kind of row like that. And the upper back is about moving the scapula basically. So you'll feel the scapula come forward and feel the scapula come back. And same goes for the upper back. So potentially, so people might do things like shrugs to work the upper part of the traps. And then, yeah, we've got the rowing movements for the I suppose, the center or the mid part of the traps. But even then, there potentially is some merit to kind of going from high to low. So we're using the lower part of the traps as well. So that's something I've done a little bit differently in my training recently, is trying to tick all those boxes. Again, it might be a non-issue. The downsides to doing it this way are that I potentially need more exercise selection. So I'll go from an exercise to another exercise. That takes time to get set, get your stuff all ready for that exercise and all that kind of stuff. Which potentially, let's say what I'm talking about is not a thing and it's just like they all work the same, your traps evenly or your lats evenly or whatever it might be, then I might be wasting some time here. But, I have chosen good exercises and they feel good to me. So going from one to the next, taking that time, it doesn't take too much time, but yeah, that's just something to consider. So ticking that box, making sure everything I can do, I am doing, and that might turn out to be nothing at all. But we'll see when we meet our maker at the end of the day. So we'll get out there in a second. So back, biceps, rear delts, maybe you want to categorize them differently, but they all come to this workout. See you out there. All right, first exercise is a chest support row. I tweaked this one a little to suit me a little bit better. So I go single arm and I do it step back and standing. So for this particular chest supported row machine, it kind of goes away from my body a bit. And just like we spoke about in the intro, for this to use my lat a little bit better, I want to keep it a little bit close to my body. So I can step over, get into a line where that works really well. So I'll place a foot on the frame of the chest supported row here, grab one handle, bring it back with me, lock into a nice solid position, Feel that big stretch. Pull. As it kind of goes across my body, that big stretch, feel that. Pull in towards the hip. Feel that lat squeeze. Warm up to a challenging weight for today. Pull it out with that. Let's add some weight. So I'll do this in the 10 to 15 rep range. I'm doing 3 sets. So when we think about training any muscle, essentially we're thinking about pulling it from one point to another. So it has an origin and an insertion. So where the muscle starts, and it's pulling to where it inserts, right? So with the lat, which I'm trying to show in this movement, it kind of attaches to the front of your arm and then wraps in under your armpit, rolls over your rib cage, and kind of goes in towards your spine and down towards your hip. So if we outline that we're trying to train that particular muscle, essentially we want to pull that origin to that insertion. So with the lat, that would then be arm nice and close to the body. So if your arm starts to get away from the body, you start to get some other things involved, like rear delt, which is going to pull your arm around that way. So it might not be obvious, but that doesn't mean on a variation where your arm goes out to the side, your lat's not working as well. Just means potentially it will do a little bit better job for you in isolating that muscle when we keep it close to the body. So we're going into our first set here. 10 to 15 reps per side. So the downside to this is you've got to do both sides, so it takes a bit more time. But this is one of my more favoured ones for this one, so I keep doing it. And 12. Okay. Falling outside my rep range, so reduction in weight before the third set. So weight reduction for the third set. So what can happen when you're training close to failure is that sets can drop off in reps. So, and that's again why I give a rep range. So if I want 8 to 15 or 10 to 15 for this particular exercise, and I go close to failure on the first set, there's potential for that second set to drop off in reps. But the opposite end of things would be, okay, I'm only going to get sets of 12, but potentially that first set's a little bit easier. So this way, my mind means you're going hard enough on each set that it's worth your while, versus leaving a little bit into the tank till you could say get 3 sets of 12. So if you try really hard, reps drop off. Again, try hard the next set. If the reps go below your rep range, simply bring the weight down so the reps come back up, and then try hard again. Oh yeah, that's good. Nice. Okay, that's the step back single arm chest supported row. Really good for lining it up such that if your structure doesn't suit how the machine works, move over to the side, find your best fit for the machine. Okay, one more lat dominant exercise, barbell pullover coming up. So this is my barbell pullover. You often see people do the dumbbell pullover where they have their upper back on the bench and their ass off of the bench with the dumbbell going overhead like this. I concocted this exercise because I thought, why bother doing that when you can hold onto a bar? I set up in this rig here so I can bring this bench this way and I can take it out and use that way. If you think you're on a standard bench where there are uprights on one side, that wouldn't allow you to do this movement, which I'll show you in a second here. So, lying back underneath the bar, hand position, again, a little bit different person to person. Mine's probably a little bit inside shoulder width. I'll take it up and out. Slight bend at the arm to let the hamstring, the tricep chill a bit. Bringing it down like such. Back up, trying to use the lats. They're essentially pulling your arm back up into that position. So barbell pullover. So driving the arm like such, lat pulling your arm into this position here. There might be some other things that get involved, like the long head of the tricep might sort of start to want to work here, but a big advantage of this one is that we are really making it hard in this stretch position again, because gravity is going down like this, and it kind of gets easier throughout the movement. So making it hard in the stretch position, the potentially more effective position, and then easier in the potentially less effective position. So big stretch, soft elbows my preference. Again, thinking about the lat pulling your arm up really hard. And again, when you get tired on this one, it's going to be this bottom portion that's going to be really hard. So you can grind through that, work really hard to pull your lat through. Once you get above here, you don't feel it as much, but again, that has some potential. So barbell pullover, we get to hold onto the bar. We don't have to worry about the dumbbell being in our hands and this whatever format people use for that. I just find that a bit awkward. So this way you can hold onto the bar. All right, we'll build up to the working weight, and then I'll catch you for set number 1. So what I'm even finding there is that even with all my attention and focus being on my lats, I feel triceps getting in there, chest getting in there, and not as much lats. So with that in mind, I'll do this set, but definitely within my program, there's potential to consider something else. Yeah, so when you're trying to train a particular muscle, you want to make sure that muscle is the one that is the limiting factor, goes close to failure. So I get to the end of the set here, triceps and chest are what I sort of feel start to fatigue. Lats, not so much. Now, you can't always trust those sensations, because sometimes you'll feel this on this day, and the next day you'll feel some kind of soreness where you didn't necessarily feel it heaps. But I think we can get the best of both worlds, both being able to feel it on the day and then also get it the next day. So yeah, if I get to the end of these sets and all I can feel is my triceps and chest, and there might be better options out there. Anyway, we'll do this last set, see if we can improve upon it, and then go from there. Let's give you another angle. This one, in case you decide to give it a try yourself. I've got these wrist wraps just to let my grip chill out as much as possible. That's not a absolute must, just again another little thing I do. Okay, only doing 2 there. Yeah, I think there's potential to change this one, so I'll note that down in my program. Have a look at what I could slot in next week potentially. All right, seated row next. Next we've got the seated low row. So I use this funky grip. The first brand that brought these out was Maximum Advantage Grip. Found it to be really effective for this one. So this particular variation of row, I'm now turning to my upper back. So those 2 exercises are more, I'm trying to train the lats in those. And this now moving to a couple of upper back exercises, again, coming from a couple of different angles just to make sure I'm ticking all the boxes. So on this back day, I start off with lats. On the second back day, I start off with upper back or traps, just to make sure they're both getting equal love. So medium mag grip for me and my size. I'll do one practice or warm-up set so you can have a look at that. So yeah, now instead of arms being close to the body, like with those rows to make it latty, now they come a little bit away. I'm thinking about rolling the shoulder blades forward or protracting the scapulars and then squeezing them at the back. The row path usually will come a little bit higher to bring your arms away. So now I'll go lower chest, kind of upper rib cage area where I finish. If I wanted to make this more about the lats, I'd go narrow handle, row nice and low to make the lats. So I practice that first. Soft knees, scapulars protract, roll forward, come, squeeze them at the back. Let's really need to warm up. 1 to 2 minutes and then we'll hit set 1. Set coming up, 10 to 15 reps, 3 sets. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, that's good. So another one to consider there is some of the strategies we use for some of the other movements, which is the length and partials. Again, you'll find that you fail in towards the belly. You can't get here, but you might be able to get most of the way there. There's a potential to do your full range set, hit the belly as often as you can, and then set yourself a harp rep, so kind of like give yourself a limit to not go under. So full range, hit the belly, and then maybe when you can't get your arms to the level of your body, then you cut the set there. So that could be a way to practically do a length and partial at the end of your full range set. All right, a couple minutes rest, 2 sets to go. Okay, this angle might give you a good idea of how I protract my shoulder blades. So sometimes the chest supported options can be really good in this situation because they kind of let you roll over the chest pad and support you and give you something to brace against. But again, this exercise feels pretty good for me. I feel like it's effective enough without the chest pad, so it's a good variation other than the chest supported variation. So watch how I protract the shoulder blades. So yeah, it's that motion of letting the shoulder blades come forward. So one of the main functions of the traps is retracting the shoulder blades. So that's that sensation of squeezing them together essentially. So we want to do the opposite of that, which is protract. So in this one, protract into retraction, protract into retraction. You've got to lock your feet in tight here, otherwise it pulls you forward. One more set.
Okay, that's pretty good. So I had to reduce the weight there because that last set I was falling out of my rep range again. Bring the weight down, get back into what feels like the most effective rep range for this exercise in this muscle group. Last backs exercise coming up. Okay, so this is even an exercise that I'm considering, is the fuck around worth it? I've got different attachments. I have to add to the weight stack here, but from what we were talking about earlier, potentially this is going to help. This angle here is going to help me work the lower part of my upper back, whereas any of the other pull downs, row variations doesn't quite get this same angle. We don't have a machine that does it here. So I've got this adjustable thing with these handles like such, but you could just get a standard bar. This just allows me to finish the movement. Tuck in behind the bench, kind of going from somewhere between overhead and horizontal, like halfway I like to do it. We're here, pull, squeeze, let the shoulder blades protract, pull, squeeze. So it feels good, but the fuckery's pretty epic here, so, and I'm not sure how long it has because of the weight, so anyway, give it a try for the next couple of weeks. I've recently added this one in and it's not too bad. Not sure about if it's worth it though. All right, we'll check in for set 1. So I actually quite like it, but again, that's the maximum weight I'll be able to use there. So I've got a pin extender and a couple of 20 kg plates. No more's fitting on this, so tried this on the lat pull down, but the angle's not the same, but yeah. Ah well. Might have to figure something else out here. 1 set to go. I think I'm onto something here, guys. I think I've figured out a way how to make this work on the lat pull down, so I have to fuck around with all this shit. So I'll do that next week. I think it'll work, but we shall check next week. Last set of this, still good, just heaps of fuckery, limited weight, things like that. So I like that one, so if we can figure out a way to work at the lat pull down, that'll be good. All right, we've got a superset coming up. Biceps rear delts. So this is probably one of the more peculiar exercises I do, but has a lot of merit. So it's a decline lying dumbbell curl. So again, as I'm always mentioning, making an exercise stretch the muscle that we're after, or at least go to the stretch position, does have value, but also making it hard in that stretch position. So a common exercise is like an incline dumbbell curl where you're on a bench leaning back and doing a curl, but an issue with that is that gravity's going directly down, which is the same as a standing dumbbell curl. So it doesn't get hard until part way into the movement. Doing it on the decline like such, again, makes us go up against gravity much sooner. But yeah, takes a bit of fuckery. So we get into the decline bench like so, light back, arms out to the side, into that position there. So yeah, getting in and out of position a little bit harder, but potentially some merit once you kind of get your setup correct, not too bad. So I'll do one more warm up and then we'll hit our working sets. So when people see an exercise like this, they think, oh, why the fuck would you do that? Like, what's the point? The standard dumbbell curl is the king or is just as good. I'm not saying there's one or the other. This is just something that I've added to my routine and I find it works well. It doesn't always have to be one or the other. It can be both. You don't need to do one exercise for the rest of the time and staunchly defend your favorite exercise. Try it out, put it through its paces and then see if it's worthwhile. There are downsides to this one, which is getting into position. Also the fact that my arm or my shoulder, my chest is all having to work to keep my arm up to a certain extent, but when I get to the end of the set, what I feel is my bicep jacked up, so I'm cool with it. So I do a fair few of these actually, 5 sets. I'm really trying to jack up some of my bicep volume, but I don't do too many different exercises, so short break. Along with the decline dumbbell curl, I do a straight arm pull across or a rear delt pull across with the cable crossover here. Save some time. So essentially a little bit above shoulder height with the setup here. Let the arm stretch across the body. I keep a bent elbow again, just keeps the long head of the tricep a little bit more chill and focusing on that rear delt. You can try this from different heights. Whatever feels good for you is cool. And again, we are focused on the back part of the shoulder, not the upper back necessarily. So pay all your attention there. Pull across with that rear delt. All right, those couple as a warm up. A couple moments here and then we'll go to step 1. Here we go. Another lengthened partial finish there as well, felt pretty good for me. So yeah, I superset this for 5 sets. That is a fair amount, but shoulders, arms are at a point I'm trying to work on, so I've increased the volume a little bit on them. So 5 sets through, but I'll catch you at the next exercise. Okay, last bit of exercise fuckery for sure. Well, it has to be because it's the last exercise. So I do a lying dumbbell curl to finish. Again, just capping off that volume for the biceps. So I like this curl bar, feels the most comfy for me. I set the cable height pretty low. We roll a bench all the way up to the cable machine. And again, you're going to lie down and curl. Now, the rationale behind doing this is that me lying down stabilizes me. It makes it such that I don't have to work very hard to keep myself upright. So my back gets to chill while I lie down. So yeah, I don't see too many downsides to this. Maybe it's not as challenging in the stretch position, but I set it nice and low. You can only set it so low before it runs into you as you curl. So give it a couple warm-up reps here before we start. So leaning back. All right, that's that. I do this 10 to 20 reps. So far it's felt pretty good to me. Coming off that decline dumbbell curl, which is really effective. This is just a nice one to cap things off. Again, not smashing you in the stretch position or making it super hard in that stretch position or anything like that. But again, just to cap off the volume, I think it's pretty worthwhile. 10 to 20 reps, 2 sets. And then we'll wrap things up. Okay, let's wrap it up. Final set of the workout. And then we out. Nice one. That'll do us. See you for the wrap up in a sec. All right, let's wrap up the back workout, guys. So that's my first back workout of the week. I do 2 of those per week. So there's a fair amount of work there, but not excessive in my mind. And again, I've recently added some works, about 20% to my upper body muscle groups, just because that's a little bit of a weaker point of mine. So going through that workout, so again, we started with things that are more biased towards the lats working, something from a horizontal position, and then we had that pullover as well. So pullover wasn't great, so there's some tweaking to be done here with that. And then obviously I had the pull down variation, which is sort of halfway on the cable machine, and there's some tweaking to be done there, but I have a good idea for that one, so I'll do that next week and take you through that next week. And yeah, just got to keep figuring it out. So it's all about that tweaking and just making that a little bit better over time. I think that's part of the fun of it, is just making it that little bit better. Some people might watch videos like this and go, oh, all you have to do is work hard and, you know, do enough of it. And you know what? They are probably right for the most part, but I find it fun to kind of tweak and make it a little better here and there. Sorry for the makeshift lighting setup. The power's gone out here. So yeah, so ultimately, yeah, we've got, for this workout, there is 10 total sets to back, which is split half towards biasing the lats and half towards biasing the upper back. So I do that again later in the week, which will accumulate 20 total sets. So not excessive, but you know, probably moderate to high amount of volume, you'd consider that. And then all of those sets, or a fair chunk of those sets, also incorporate the biceps. So there's that, what we call fractional work. So the biceps still have to pull down and row and all these kinds of things. But again, direct work to the bicep, there was 7 total sets through 2 exercises. So I think for the biceps, you don't need to go too many exercise variations. The issue with that would be that in a future workout, you can't use another variation necessarily. If one stops feeling good or gives you some discomfort in joints and stuff like that, you have nowhere to go because you might be using all the variations. So I only use few exercises per program and just do more sets of them to leave me some room to go to other exercises in the future. So there is some potential. I've seen some biomechanistic work on biasing the long head or the short head of the bicep. There are two heads, but they go to the same spot on your arm and they go to a similar spot on your scapula or shoulder blade. So I don't think there is heaps of merit in doing that. And I already fuck around with things enough, so that's enough for me. So ultimately, that's a pretty good workout. I still have some things to tweak, but we're pretty close. I've still got a few months to do this workout, I would say, to kind of keep progressing and get better with my weight gain as well, or my muscle gain as well. So there's some times to work these things out and really push and progress. So there's no real rush. We just get better over time. We're all about getting that little bit better each time you come back, figuring and learning about yourself a little bit more over time. So that's me done for this back workout today. Remember, it's progress over perfection. Coach Dan signing off.